Yeah, we had a few days to rest our bodies and get ready for the Old Dominion this week and get on the road recruiting on Thursday and Friday. Looking back at the Coastal Carolina game, it's our job as a coaching staff to put our players in better positions to win the game. We came up a little bit short. Our players gave great effort, gave us a chance to win in the very end, but we have to eliminate the explosive plays on defense and turnovers on offense. But our goals we want to know this week. All our focus is on Old Dominion as we travel up there this weekend versus another challenging Sunbelt East game on the road. So got a lot of work cut out for us this week.
All right, thank you. We'll start off with Joseph. Joseph, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. You guys have lost 3 one-score games this year. What's your team's process mentally for moving on from those kind of hits?
Yeah, I like our teams where we are mentally right now. It's been a challenging 6 games to open the season, but we had a team meetings yesterday in practice, and we're 0-0 right now, and that's the important thing. And a lot of great football games ahead of us right now. But I like our football team. They're a close football team. They're always have each other's backs, and again, I like where we are right now.
All right, let's go over to Mike Barber. Mike.
Morning, Coach. As you look at Old Dominion, their linebacker Henderson, 42. What are the things that he does well and that challenges he presents?
Everything. He's on every single tackle, and we knew that last year. He was a great football player last year, and even better this year. So you watch the tape, and when you pause when it's a tackle, he's always around the ball. I mean, he's an old school downhill linebacker that can beat you in the run game, and he also covers well. So. Again, he's a great football player. Hats off to him.
You mentioned that he was obviously very effective last year as kind of a tackle machine. Has there been an evolution or development in his game, or just a year older and simple things?
I think he's a year older now. He's probably more mature and a little bit stronger from the weight room. But again, he's a great football player. He'll play on Sundays.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go over to Dan. Dan.
Morning, Coach. Talking about Henderson, what was Coastal able to do defensively when they were slowing your running game down some?
Well, they loaded the box on us and played man coverage, and that's why we kind of switched our game plan to throw some more deep shots, and we connected on a few, and then some plays we didn't connect. So again, whenever you put 8 guys in the box and single coverage outside, you have to throw the ball deep.
On a similar thing on the other side of the ball, Coastal is able to break some big plays in the passing game. I mean, do you just give them credit? Solid quarterback and a lot of good receivers out there.
Well, it's a great quarterback, first of all, and the 2 plays you're talking about, one was a bust in coverage, in cover 2, and the safety rolls down and he's playing the run, and then the other one is a great play by the quarterback. It was a 3rd down, and we went man coverage, and they beat us over the top.
What does Old Dominion do offensively? I mean, they also have taken advantage of some deep balls this year.
They have done that. You watch the game, and they're very consistent. They're going to throw the ball down the field, and when they connect, they're usually for touchdowns, and they're very explosive in the run game, very explosive in the pass game, and Coach has done a great job getting his team prepared to play week in and week out.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you. I'll go over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit about the run game from ODU, but the kind of two backs they use. What have you seen from those 2 guys as you prepare for this week's matchup?
Yeah, they both can take the ball, take the distance. I mean, they're physical running backs. They take their hits and keep on going. So we've watched tape for the last 3 days now, and again, they're game-changing backs. You watch against the Marshall game, it was a 65-yard run for a touchdown, and then they just keep pounding the football. But they have a very challenging scheme. They spread the receivers out to lighten the box, and when you spread them people out, they run the football and they run it effectively.
And then last one for me, Coach. But what does it mean to have such a great crowd at the Rock on a Tuesday night? Obviously had a great crowd on Wednesday night. The last time you kind of had this midweek matchup with Coastal. What does it mean for your program to have such support from the community in Boone?
Well, it means everything. We have a very passionate fan base that will show up and support our program. So again, very thankful we have that kind of fan base on a Tuesday night to sell it out. And it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, our fans will show up, and and support our program. And it helps in recruiting, it helps in game day experience. And again, can't be thankful enough they're on our team.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Sure. You know, it was a great victory last week. Really proud of our guys. They just keep believing, keep fighting, and keep hanging in there. And you know, it was a hard fought, tough football game, and came down the last play and was really, it was a lot of fun. Great atmosphere.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach. Had a bit of an up and down year so far for Grayson specifically. What did it mean to the team to see him have the kind of performance that he had last week?
Well, you know, obviously, he puts a lot of pressure on himself, as does really everybody, media, fan base. But you know, it was great to see him take a deep breath and go back to the basics of football, and just work on the things that we needed to clean up in his game that were going to help his game. And really, it's not just Grayson, it's our football team. It's the execution, it's being at the right place at the right time, the right route depth, right? Those type of things. And we were very fortunate to have an opportunity to correct some of those things. We continue to do that. It's the little details that are hurting our football team right now. And we cleaned a lot of those up, and it showed on Saturday or Tuesday.
From the quarterback position specifically, what were some of those little things that you were happy to see him fix in this performance?
Consistency in his drops is number one. You know, I think sometimes as a quarterback, you know where you're going to go with the ball, and pre-snap, sometimes you don't drop correctly, and you shorten it. And so what happens is that guy's not ready to get the ball because you're ready, but you've shortened the timing. The passing game's all about timing and spacing. So if you screw up the timing, you're going to screw up the spacing. And therefore the pass rush kind of he starts feeling it, right? And so big thing we needed to do is to just get him to be very, very consistent, understand what plays have what drops with them, which he kind of knows, but he's smart. He's played a lot of football. He knows, hey, I'm throwing that out route, man. I got to get that thing out. And in reality, we're not ready yet. The receiver's not at his depth, right? And so then he comes off it. And he was much better, and it showed. You can tell his ball placement, the timing, the spacing, had great eyes downfield. You know, did a good job in protection. I think we only gave up 1 sack on the night right before half in a 2-minute deal there. But other than that, I thought he played exceptional.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll go over to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Along those same lines, what were you able to do in the passing game? I think you had 6 or maybe more plays in the passing game of 30 or more yards.
Yeah. You know, it's just some of the things we saw Coach Trickett, and, you know, we all sat down and kind of talked through, like, what's the best way to try to attack them, you know, and, you know, they're a very physical team, want to stop the run. We knew that. We knew that they're going to run the football and stop the run. And that's how most teams win. And we had to connect on our opportunities for the big plays, and we did.
On the other side of the ball, what were you able to do that slowed their running game down? Because I think you held them to 110 rush yards.
Yeah. Just, again, Coach Nyber and the defensive staff putting together a great plan. We knew they were going to run it, and that was our plan, was to make sure that's not how they beat us. If they beat us, right, it was going to be by another way. And they had a great running back and great offensive lineman up front. And so we forced them to have to throw a little bit, and they made some plays. They made some of the plays they needed to make and caught some of the 50-50 balls, got a couple of calls. But at the end of the day, we made just a few more plays than they did, and we were able to get out with a victory.
Looking ahead, I read a story this week that said that Arkansas State was consistently inconsistent, but they are playing a little better now. What's your what do you see when you look at them right now?
You know, again, I see similar, right? You see really good things that they're doing right now. They're definitely a different team with the change of quarterback. He has sparked them, and they're playing much better offensively. You got to account for him in the run game, and he can still throw it. So, you know, he brought an added dimension to him, what he's doing right now, keeping plays alive with his feet offensively. And on defense, very sound fundamentally. They're an attack style of defense, very aggressive. And, you know, you got to do a good job in your protections. They have some good pressures. And so it's going to be a challenge, you know, going on the road again to a program. You know, Butch is a great coach. He's going to have his guys ready to play. It's homecoming. You know, they've got a rich program and tradition. So, you know, it's another challenge for us to get on the road and try to put back-to-back good games together.
Appreciate it, Coach.
You got it.
And we got one more from Sam. Sam?
Coach, with all the success Coastal's had over the past few years, did something you haven't done before, going into Boone and winning a game at Kid Brewer Stadium. Does getting that first and obviously a great game from Grayson, career high in passing yards, kind of give you guys a little bit of a spark going into the rest of the year?
I think so. You know, I feel like there's definitely an added step. You know, I think they feel like they've actually accomplished something. And as you mentioned, that hadn't been done ever here. And so, but I also think, like, you know, the Georgia Southern game, we played well. We just turned the ball over. And I talked to the team yesterday about, you know, that's the recipe for success. We have to continue to play great defense, tackle well, right? Win our one-on-one battles. On offense, we got to run the football, make the big plays when we have them, and not turn the ball over. There was one turnover in the game last week against App, one, and that was the difference in the ball game. So you don't realize, I keep harping how important those things are about protecting the football and getting the football back from our defense. Keontae Luss made it just a remarkable play after he busted the coverage, but he didn't give up on it. Abe Timoni didn't give up on the play. They hustled, they pursued to the ball. I know that's how you win games. You win games because you pursue. Right? Guys are going to make mistakes, but effort, fundamentals, protect the football. And so we've put two kind of back-to-back games with that better. We're obviously improved tremendous in turnovers and kicking game as well. We made all the kicks when they needed, and those were some of the things we talked about we needed to do to win. And we did, and we won. So we got to continue that.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah, good win Saturday against good Georgia Southern football team. Thought we took a step as a team, played our most complete game in terms of all three phases, playing well, offense, defense, special teams. Still left plays out there on the field, offensively and defensively, and some things to clean up in teams. But you know, it was a good win. Now, big challenge this week, a short week, playing Thursday night. The traveling team going to Marshall, good football team, real good football team. Have to cram, you know, a week's worth of preparation as a staff, you know, into about 3 days, you know, and we have to have a great week of prep in terms of our players that translates onto a good performance on the football field. You know, Marshall, in my mind, like, this is a trap game. You guys like that term, trap game? I know you do. This is a trap game. Last year, they came here, had lost 3 out of 4, and from the middle of the second quarter on, completely dominated us, completely. They've lost 2 in a row after a fast start, so I know they're not pleased about that. And I'm sure they're eager to get back on track in front of their home crowd. So this is a good football team we're going to play, and we got our work cut out for us.
Hey, Coach, we'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike?
Morning, Curt. Jordan has thrown 10 touchdown passes, I think, in the last 3 games. What are you seeing in the development in his passing and in your throw game in general?
I thought Saturday was our most consistent day, his most consistent day. Still left a few out there. Still room for improvement. I have very high expectations for Jordan, you know, and not going to lower the standards because I think he can be an excellent football player. But I think our receivers have done a nice job of separating We've caught the ball fairly consistently. We did have a couple drops again Saturday. Protection was good. And our run pass balance was good. And I think, we were making explosive plays on the ground and in the air, and they fed off each other.
And looking at Marshall, they lead this league in pass defense. They're second in interceptions, second in sacks. What kind of challenges will they present to Jordan?
They're going to present challenges to us. And of course, Jordan's a key part of that. Last year, they beat our quarterback up, beat him to a pulp. And they got basically the same guys up front. So they're really good. Not only do we have to have a great plan, but we have to execute the plan on the road. We've been able to find a way, but this is a new challenge. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Huff. I got a lot of respect for that football team. There's a lot of good players out there. They've had some big time wins since we have joined the Sun Belt, and we're going to be walking into a hornet's nest.
And if I could sneak in one more, we've heard the NFLPA, very concerned about playing on artificial turf. You guys play on turf, you practice on turf. It doesn't seem like it's an issue. Do you have any concerns about college programs playing and practicing on artificial surfaces?
It's really not my focus, and I haven't really thought about that. So, I mean, I'm consumed with this upcoming challenge, and you're probably going to have to look a little elsewhere for that answer.
All right, thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
We'll go over to Luke Creasy.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned some about the matchup last year, and it was for the quarterbacks, it was a first start for Cam Fancher, and then of course Todd Centeio was out. Do you kind of look at that and kind of throw that film out the window, or are there things you can take from that, even though some of the key players weren't there?
Well, they have a new defensive coordinator, so from an offensive perspective, you're looking at a different design. You're looking at a lot of the same players, but kind of a different design. I think for our defensive staff, the game has great value. The quarterback has improved tremendously. The running back did not play in that game. You got to be able to contain the quarterback, and you got to tackle the running back. And then, but they got good skill guys on the outside. So they present a number of challenges, and they've got an excellent scheme, and their special teams are good. So yeah, there's value in that game, more so on the defensive side probably than our side.
Go over to Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Cignetti. I hope you're having a great day. Well, is it fair to call this one the best game your pass defense has played all season? And what are your thoughts on the development of that part of your team throughout this year?
Well, I look at like this. I didn't think we played very well against Virginia against the pass. I thought we made some progress against Troy and Utah State and South Alabama incrementally. I didn't think the offense was doing their part in the second half to keep our defense off the field, because a lot of those yards came in the second half. So I was 100% confident that our defense would play really well Saturday against Georgia Southern. Of course, pass defense is a component of that, and the pass rush is part of that too. So I've seen development in those guys. There were still some plays out there that we could have made with the ball in our hands a couple times, or guys in position didn't make the play. So I think some of the yards we have given up are a little deceptive, because there have been times maybe where the offense hasn't sustained those drives in the second half.
Got time for one more from Jackson.
Hey, Coach. Last week before the Georgia Southern game, you talked a lot about extra motivation coming from your guys' loss to them last year. Is that a similar case this week with Marshall?
It should be. There's no doubt about it. I mean, those were back-to-back games. And, just like the Georgia Southern game, Marshall deserved to win that game. They whipped us. We're going to have to play really, really well to get done what we want to get done in this game.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, Coach, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Really excited for the guys, really proud of them. There was no quit, and we played a really good team. We knew that all week, and a lot of grit. It was our Super Bowl. We talked to the guys about that all week. Very thankful for the bye. We needed it. We need to get healthy. We need to focus on our academics and get prepared for a really good Troy team. I started watching the film yesterday, and I had to turn it off because it put me in a bad mood. Those guys are really good. So, questions?
Yeah, we'll start off with Dan McDonald. Dan?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
What was the attitude like on the sideline? All of a sudden, you got the pick six going the other way. You're down 2 scores with less than 9 minutes left.
Yeah, it was obviously the pick six was disappointing because we had put together a good drive. We were going down. It was first down, and so that was disappointing. But it kind of felt like the Louisiana game, but the opposite sideline for me a little bit. I just like, all right, we just got to find a way to go score one more touchdown. We can stop them, get the ball back, and go put it in the end zone again. So that was kind of my mindset is we just, don't give up and go down there. We got to score fast and try to get the ball back. We had some timeouts. We had 2 timeouts left, so I knew we had a chance.
You had 3 long drives in the first half and ended up having to take field goals on all of them. Was there at a time that you thought, this one's going to be a dogfight all the rest of the way?
Yeah, I kind of felt like that before the game, to be honest with you. I just, you watch the film as a coach and you kind of see what they have and their schemes on both sides of the ball. And they're really well coached and they had a really good team. And we were just so beat up. I mean, last week we had some guys that played that didn't even practice all week. We had some guys that weren't able to play in the game, some starters that played in the game on top of the guys we already had not able to play because of injuries, season-ending injuries. So it was just it was a tough week. It really was. I was trying not to lose my mind, to be honest with you, just trying to stay positive for the guys. So but luckily, they're all injuries that we'll get back. They just need a week or two. It's your small ankles and stuff like that.
How much has TJ grown into the role for you the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think he's keeps on getting better, and we got to keep on putting him in good situations. And I thought those last 2 drives, to throw a pick six like that, and then to come back and put together some drives like that just showed his maturity and the growth that he's made since being here.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go over to Joseph.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about Joey Hobart. Also, obviously, a huge game for him this past week. Can you tell me a little bit about his development since he's come to you guys?
Yeah, Joey's awesome, man. He really is. He came to us on his official visit and just a happy kid and came in here and wanted to prove himself. We did one of those one of those first fall camp practices and went up and made a play in 7-on-7. We said, well, we might have something in this kid right here. And we knew him. Coach Stutzman had coached him at 2 different spots. So he knew what he was all about, but the rest of the coaches didn't. So Joey's a heck of a player and a heck of a person and really developed into a leader and a fan favorite for sure.
As you mentioned, he's been at a couple other programs during his time in college. When I talked to him a couple of weeks ago after the Baylor win, he said Texas State is the first one he's been a part of that's felt like a family. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think that's what we try to create here, and that was really the message going in that week and the Saturday, before the game speech was, the only way we're going to win this game versus Monroe, and the reason we're going to win this game versus Monroe is because of the relationships and the love we have for each other, players and coaches and coaches and coaches. We have to come together because it's going to be a dogfight, and just, to preach that all week and then for it to show up on Saturday, it feels good as a coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we'll go over to Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Kinne. I hope you're having a great day.
Yes, sir.
Well, after not being successful in end-of-game situations against UTSA and Louisiana, what does it mean to score 2 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes of the game right after throwing a pick six?
Yeah, I think it just shows the resiliency of our team, and there was no quitting those guys. We got a bunch of winners in that locker room, and you know, we got it done when it counted. So obviously, you'd like to score some touchdowns earlier in the game too. Maybe we can do that next week. I don't know though. Like I told you, I turned off the Troy film yesterday, Sunday. Turned it off. Not watching those guys anymore. Not ruining my Sunday.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, obviously disappointing loss for us against James Madison. I've always thought that in this league, if you don't bring your A game, you can get your butt beat. And James Madison played at an extremely high level. Credit to them. I thought they played clean football, and we didn't play to our standard. And you know, our formula for winning has been very, very easy. It's been protecting the football, getting turnovers, being great at third down efficiency, both offense and defensively, and playing good special teams. And we did not do that this past Saturday. You know, anytime you're a leader, I believe you got to take ownership in that, whether you're the head coach, whether you're assistant coach, whether you're in that locker room. And I'm thankful for the men that are in this building because, you know, they have a sense of urgency to go and address the issues that need to get fixed and get ready for a ULM team that could easily be 4-2 right now. You look at their two heartbreaking losses against App State and against Texas State last week. They could be sitting at the top of their side of the league right now with about 3 different plays. So we've got a lot to get better at this week and try to go 1-0 at home at Paulson. With that, I'll take any questions you got.
Yeah, we'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike.
Morning, Clay. Looking back for one here at the JMU game, Jordan McLeod and their success throwing the ball. What have you seen from his development, and what maybe did you struggle with pass defense wise?
Yeah, you know, I thought he was at his best on third downs, especially in the first half. You look at that first half, and in those critical moments, he was 5 for 8. One of those was on fourth down, and it kept drives alive. It extended drives where we only had the ball 4 drives in the first half offensively, which we scored 2 times, but both are field goals. And, you know, so I thought he was extremely efficient. Credit to coach. I think he does a wonderful job of evaluating quarterbacks. He's had 2 back-to-back transfers that have come in and run that system to a T. And I thought Jordan was at his best on Saturday. I was very impressed with him and his performance.
And then this one's a little off the beaten path, but we've heard the NFLPA worrying about injuries related to artificial surfaces. Most of the schools in the conference are artificial surfaces. Most are practicing heavily on artificial. Do you have any concerns or thoughts about that at the college level?
I know it's a topic of discussion nationally. You know, we just laid brand new turf down at Paulson. It has not been an issue for us, and our training facility just got brand new turf, and it hasn't been an issue. I know it's a discussion that's out there with NFL. I know that they do a tremendous job of studying safety. I'll let people a lot smarter than me study those. I'll try to worry about points and wins. But good Lord willing, we've had some good fortune on our 2 surfaces here as far as training this season.
Great, thank you.
I'll go over to Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Helton. I hope you're having a great day. Well, how have you seen the morale of the team since Saturday, and how do you get them ready and stay motivated knowing that you still have everything in front of you?
Yeah, definitely. You talk about one game. I think great teams, you know, they're able to turn the page quickly with a sense of urgency. They're real with each other. And that's what I appreciate, like I said earlier, about this building. Even when I walked in the locker room after the game, Caleb Hood was already addressing the team, one of our leaders, one of our captains. And I had already brought the team up and said, hey, understand this, guys, that's not our standard. And he was literally taking the words out of my that's what you want as a head coach. You want your captains and your leaders to be able to be on the same page with you. And he was already addressing the team with that verbiage. So, you know, I think we have a team here that has a chip on its shoulder. And the good news is we're in a better place than we were at this time last year. You know, we're in a position right now where we do have everything ahead of us. You know, you do have the availability to go 1-0 each week and compete for a conference title. We're a better team, a deeper team than we were last year. So we do have everything ahead of us now. A good team has that sense of urgency and chip on shoulder to go make the correction so it doesn't happen again. A poor team, feels sorry for itself for sulks and waste time, and that's not this team. And there's a lot of guys that understand our culture and our standard, and they're ready to turn the page. And they were great yesterday at practice. So I expect them to come out and compete at a very high level against a good ULM team.
We'll go over to Dan. Dan?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
The way your guys have produced offensively a lot of times this year, how difficult was it to have to settle for the field goals in the second quarter?
Yeah, I thought it was a huge difference, Dan. It's a big difference with it being 20-14 and you getting the ball on that first kickoff in the second half between 20-6. It was a tremendous 2-minute drive. We've been really good at 2-minute drives, and we get it inside that 10-yard line. We had 2 shots at it and didn't get it in. But that's probably our biggest area of growth right now. Is as many we're putting up points, we're putting up yards. But when you look at the MOs of where we've had losses offensively, been two areas, either games that we've turned the ball over more than once, or have had lack of efficiency in the red zone. And that happened in this game. We turned the ball over 3 times in the second half, and we weren't efficient in the red zone.
You talked about the turnovers. I think JMU had 77 yards in the third quarter and had 3 offensive touchdowns. I mean, that's just tough to come back from.
Yeah, definitely. You look at the tale of 2 years. I mean, last year we have 4 turnovers they have 4 turnovers to our 1. This year come back and we have 3 turnovers to their 0. They played really, really clean football. And when you're trying to come back into a game and you have 3 turnovers and a half, it's just not going to happen. So obviously our kids know the MO for winning. They've seen it, 4 wins because of 1 turnover or less, and being really good in the red zone and really good on third down efficiency. And then the 2 losses that we lost the turnover battle and we lost the third down efficiency battle. So very, very easy formula.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Hail Southern.
Yes, I just feel bad for our team. We came up with another last second loss to lose by 1 point to an outstanding Texas State football team who've been scoring a lot of points, and we held them to 21. And our kids just played their hearts out, and we lost to App State on the field goal as time, 54-yard field goal as time expired, and now not only do we lose on about a last seconds touchdown, but we came back and got the ball in field goal range to win it, and got called for a really an incidental contact pick play on a reception that we didn't try to that put us in field goal range, and to see it called back put us at midfield for the final Hail Mary. I feel bad. Our kids are playing hard, and they are playing 60 minutes, and I'm proud of them. And I wish we could have been on a different side of those games. But you got to come back from that. I mean, instead of being 4-2, we're 2-4 because of those games, and we've got to come back for it. And like this league, you play another outstanding team with another outstanding quarterback. This offensive team, probably the best in the league at passing the football. But we played some outstanding offenses already, and we've got to come back and play again against a Georgia Southern team that is 4-2, and they're going to be fired up as heck, having lost a game against JMU. But they're one of the best teams in the league in passing, if not the best, and best in third down completions are over 50%. So we've got a battle for us, and our kids they'll come back. It's Monday, you're still kind of reeling. I'm sure they're still kind of reeling from that tough loss. We coaches are getting ready for the next game, though, and when you have a tough loss like that, the best thing that you can do is get to the next Saturday, and that's kind of what we're looking forward to doing.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Luke Creasy. Luke.
Yeah, Coach, I mean, you were in some of these 1-possession games last year too. How do you get over that hump? And what's the importance of doing that and putting this one behind you?
And of course, I'm 67 years old, but my dad, one of the things he first told me when I first started coaching, and it's funny because we're playing Georgia Southern, and I was coaching against Dirk Russell last time I was in Statesboro. But he said, Terry, when you take over a rebuilding program, you're probably going to lose big, then you're going to win close, then you're going to lose close, then win close, then win big. And we're in that lose close, win close phase of the game, and you can't do it any differently. That's the way it was when I was at Akron. And it took us 4 years to take us to a bowl game and have the best winning season. But you have to keep building the morale of your team, because they need to see positive things. But you just keep them believing in themselves, and if they'll believe in themselves and go back and say, "Men, you're playing 60 minutes. That ball is going to bounce a different way. It's oblong. It's not round. It bounces different." And it'll come your way if you'll just keep fighting and playing hard. Our coaches have done a good job. We're back in competition. I feel like we could compete in this conference, and we weren't doing that when I first got here. And so it'll change for you. It'll change if we keep playing like it will. It'll change. It's just that this conference, I call it the SEC of the G5 level. It's a conference that every team can line up and beat everybody, and so it's a tough battle every week. And I'll open up for questions.
All right, thank you. We'll go over to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. You mentioned Georgia Southern's throwing game, but
Yeah.
you were up against a really, really talented and athletic quarterback this past weekend in TJ, and you kept them out of the end zone until the last 5 minutes of the game. What were you able to do to sort of slow them down a little bit?
Well, if a team can throw it really well, as you get close to the red zone and the field compresses and the secondary can play a little closer, you want to hold a team like that to field goals if you can. And when you I think I saw Coach Helton talk about getting held to field goals. And so, that's what when you get a great passing team and they're going to get their yardage, they're good at what they do. That's why they do it that way. But you got to hope that when it gets down close to the goal line and your secondary can play a little bit tighter, then you got a chance to play a little different pass game coverage. And you got to hope that you can hold them to field goals. And then keep the game close if you do that. So that's kind of what happened against Texas State. And I think a little bit probably Georgia Southern would say that's kind of what happened in the second quarter, I think, against JMU.
Talk about that JMU game they played. Georgia Southern made a lot of mistakes in the third quarter. JMU took advantage of a lot of short fields and so forth. I mean, how important is turnovers going to be against a team like that?
You got to get turnovers. Turnovers were the most important thing. We didn't have any on Saturday. And they had a pick six, and I think turnovers are key. So it's going to be important that we get some turnovers and really protect the football on our side of the ball, because that is big plays, explosive plays. And I call explosive plays to me are 20-yard plays. Big plays are touchdowns over top or long runs, and big plays and turnovers are the biggest factor in football games between two close teams. And so that's going to be critical to us to try to win the turnover battle. And we've been pretty good at that. And then try to win the big play battle, not get beat with the big plays. If you're going to face a great passing team like we're facing, then you've got to get some big plays.
You've had so many games that have been decided right at the end. How do you keep the spirits up?
You just it's tough. You feel sorry, but these young guys, I think they get over it quicker than coaches do. Coaches, it just makes me sick. I wouldn't be coaching if it didn't make me sick to lose. But you just got to build their spirits back up. Like I say, I've done this. This is my 28th year as a head coach. Most of the schools I've gone to have been rebuilding programs where you got to go through this phase. And so you pick up a lot of good motivational speeches and inspirational speeches, and you do that a little bit, but it'll turn for you. The great thing about it, when you've got a lot of years under your belt, you can almost think back to years where you had to go through this, and so you can almost use that as your own inspiration to work on these players. So you keep doing that, keep playing. Those kids are learning. They're learning so many things about how to fight, how to play 6 minutes, and how to win a game. The games will finally fall for them.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All righty.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all covering our program. Good win at Army last week. Great trip. Really good experience for our program. To get to play at Service Academy. Good to go on the road and get the win. Have the bye this week. Got a lot of things to clean up and really assess areas where we're doing well, and then maybe some areas where we're not doing very well that we got to grow really fast to keep on the right track. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Thank you. We'll start off with Joseph. Joseph, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I wonder if you could mention what you think, sorry, what you've thought of Jabray Barber's development as kind of a big play guy for you guys a little bit here.
Yeah, Jabri, through the first 5 games last year, was our most productive receiver, and it wasn't even close. Then he had an injury against Southern Miss at home last year. And for a couple weeks there, we lost our way offensively. And it was really because we were missing our best playmaker. And so Jabri, we knew what we had in him coming into the year. It's been an emphasis to try to keep him healthy. You know, those receivers, they run a lot, try to make sure we're limiting his load at times at practice because he's an active guy. And but really great playmaker, explosive with the ball in his hands, does a great job getting open, fantastic teammate, very selfless. You know, receivers, everybody wants their touches. He wants his touches, but he doesn't really care as long as we get the win. But really proud of the way he's bounced back after injury from last year.
And last question for you. On a day like it was at Army where the weather was messy and rainy, you saw your kicker have one of the best days of his college career so far. What did it mean to see him have the kind of day that he's had?
Yeah, it was good. ST went 4 or 5. Really the one he missed was really close. He just pulled, he honestly just pulled his head up a little earlier. He probably would have hit it. It wasn't far off. It went straight. We were on the left hash. If he keeps his head and his left shoulder tucked down through the kick, he's going to make that one too. But he pulls up a little early, a little too worried about seeing whether it went through or not instead of just kicking it the right way. But went 4 or 5. I don't, you know, he's had a good year. I think he's missed a couple all year. I think he's made 15 on the year now. Through 7 games. I'd like to quit kicking so many daggum field goals and start scoring some touchdowns, though.
Fair enough. Thanks, Coach.
We'll go over to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. I think you only ran 60 offensive plays is what I was trying to add up. I mean, going in, I guess you pretty much knew that Army, they're able to shorten the game the way they play.
Yeah, you know, I told our guys your opportunities are going to be limited offensively. We were up 16-0, and then we got up 19-0 early in the third quarter. We were up 16-0 at half, 19-0 at third quarter. And at that point, I really kind of told our offensive staff, and we had 300 yards of offense at halftime, only 16 points. I really told our offensive staff, we got up 19-0. We got the ball back midway through the third quarter. Hey, we're not in a 4-minute drill yet, but like possessions, if we limit this thing to 3 or 4 possessions, we're going to win the game. And so it changed how we played the game a little bit. We started using the clock earlier than normal.
You talk about limiting possessions. What was the key to slowing down Army's running game?
Yeah, our guys did a really nice job. Coach Gass, our defense coordinator and defense staff, did a good job of sort of changing up the picture up front because they count numbers, and then where you are from a shade 5 side or an Okie side, they want the ball to spit and hit at different spots. So changing that picture was a big deal. I thought we did as good of a job as anybody I think has done against them in short yardage. That was huge because we had a couple of really critical 4th down stops where usually Army, they get in a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, it's almost automatic conversion. We had a couple of huge clutch stops there that were very impressive.
Is it good to have this open week this week because you're going to be facing a team that does pretty much 180 degrees difference than what Army did?
Yeah, it is. It's good to have the open week for a lot of reasons. 7 straight games. We're a little bit beat up football team right now. We need a little bit of rest and recovery. I think that includes everybody. Me too. My body's tired, but no, it helps to be able to transition back to maybe what we're about to see because it is very different schematically and really prepare for the stretch run of what is a tough schedule here at the end. I mean, you look at down these next few weeks, we got a slate that we got to prepare for. It's going to be challenging.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you. We'll go over to Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Sumrall. I hope you're having a great day. Well, Kimani Vidal leads the nation in rushing yards by almost 100 of them. Is it fair to call him one of the best, if not the best running back in the country?
Yeah, without question, I think he's one of the best. I hadn't watched everybody else's backs in the entire country, but I think he's a really good football player. You know, he's a stalwart on our offense, our team, and I don't think you lead the country by accident. I think you have to be a really good player to do that. I think he's doing a great job.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank y'all. Appreciate you.
Yeah, sorry about being a little late there. You know, coming off of a bye week where you know, we got to spend a lot of time on us and trying to, you know, get some things corrected that we needed to, and a lot of time on fundamentals and techniques and things like that. You know, with half the season left, there's still a lot of progress for us to make. So that was kind of the focus of it. You know, certainly going into this week, it seems to get harder and harder every week. You know, you're getting ready for a Georgia State team that's playing really good. They're very confident, you know, and that they're good in all three phases. You know, Coach Elliott's built a really good football team there. They're playing hard and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So we've certainly got our hands full this week.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Dan McDonald. Dan?
Morning, Coach. You talked about working on yourself some during the off week. You're 7th in the country in rushing. I think Sully came up with a number that said you've got more points through the first 6 games than all but 2 seasons in program history. You've got to be happy with the way your offense is producing right now.
Well, I mean, I think you can be happy with things, but not content or satisfied. You know, I still, you know, I don't think we've played our best game yet as a team and on offense either. You know, you look at the things that we've got to improve on. We got to improve in turnover margin. You know, I mean, if we can start eliminating those turnovers, you know, we've had multiple fumbles inside the 10-yard line this year, which is unacceptable. You know, I mean, that's 21 points right there that you turn around, you know, and you say, well, you know, you go from pretty good to being really good. And so I mean, yeah, I'm pleased with a lot of things that we're doing right now, but certainly, you know, I think there's a lot more for this team, and we're going to try to get everything we can out of this group.
I think Jacob Cabody has run for like 330 yards in the last 3 games. He's averaging about 10 yards a carry. Is he showing you what you expected to see from him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, you know, we've always felt like there was a lot of promise for him, and he's had a tough go with some things. You know, he's had some injuries like a lot of people have, and you know, there's just been a lot of things that haven't gone his way. And you know, those are the types of guys, though, when you talk about program guys and guys that do things the right way. I mean, he just, you know, just shows up and works every day. And, you know, having the humility to be a 6-year senior and us tell him, hey, look, there's a lot of things that you need to do better if you want to play more for us. And, you know, to his credit, he's just gone back and reinvented himself and just made himself a better player. And right now he's playing with a lot of confidence and he's playing physical. And, you know, he's playing the type of football we need him to play for us to win.
Georgia State, they were held a little bit in check by Troy's defense a couple weeks ago, but they got it open this past weekend. What do you see from them with what you've looked at?
Yeah, I was hoping they were falling apart, you know, after the Troy game, but I don't think that's the case. They got a good team, man. You know, it always starts, I think, at quarterback, obviously, right? And Granger is playing really, really good right now. He's a very, very effective runner. But I mean, he's completing almost 70% of his passes too. You know, they're getting the ball out of his hand. I think they've got really, really good skill. You know, he'll throw now screens. They'll get one block, and those guys, they make one miss, and it turns into a 20-yard gain. The running back has elite contact balance. I mean, the guy's hard to square up. He gets small through the hole. I mean, he has a burst. He's playing really good football right now. And, you know, I mean, and Coach Elliott being an O-line guy, he's got that O-line playing really good. So, I mean, offensively, they're a really well put together unit. And, you know, I think they're very multiple, you know, right now. They've kind of gotten into this 4 open deal with the wide splits, but then they'll get into 12 and they'll get in really condensed sets. They have the ability to really pound it, and they have the ability to spread you out and hit you over the top. So they present a lot of problems there. And I think, you know, the big thing, which this is college football now, you know, Troy was able to get a couple turnovers off the quarterback, you know, and other than that, he hadn't turned it over other than really against them. So, you know, that's kind of, you steal possessions there. maybe you can get them out of a rhythm. That's kind of what worked for them, and that's what you got to hope that you can do to steal some possessions and try to slow them down a little bit. But they've got a good group there on offense for sure.
Coming into this week, maybe even more important, you've had some guys dinged up, especially defensively. How much did the open week help?
Well, it always helps a little bit as far as that goes. I mean, even just the basic bumps and bruises, hopefully you can get a couple of these guys back. You're hoping Sonny will be back this week. Hopefully him and Caleb Anderson are guys that'll be able to get back in the mix. But even if they can't, it gives them a little bit of time to recover. And certainly it gives the guys that are playing in their stead, it gives them more reps and more time with the ones to continue to improve their craft.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, we'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Coach, Marcus Carroll for Georgia State, the running back, has had 350-yard rushing performances on the year. What do you guys need to do well to be able to slow him down?
Ooh. He's a good player. You got to do a good job up front. I think he does a really good job of picking his way through there. You got to win some one-on-ones up front. You can't go 1-for-1 and just get covered up because he'll ride the wave and run out of it. He's hard to square up at linebacker, even when the linebackers fit it good because he gets skinny through there and does a really good job running through a shoulder. And you got to rally tackle to the guy, there's a lot of them, man, where he spins out of a tackle and there's nobody there, and a lot of it is by design. They spread you out a little bit at times and put you in tough positions, but we're gonna have to be on our game. Between him and the quarterback, and then the zone read option that they have there, where it's a handoff or it's a pull with another dynamic player, it makes it really complicated. He's going to get some yards. He's going to do that. You got to try to limit the big ones, and try to keep those 4, 5, 6 yard runs. You got to keep them from popping out and turning into 20 because he's got the ability to do that. So the guy is playing great. And they've got like a really good thing right now with him and the quarterback in there. It makes it hard, because they've got skill on the outside too, that you better go cover them down. So it's they pose a lot of challenges. It's not a surprise that they're having the success they're having. I think if you look at last year, they didn't finish the way they wanted to last year, but to me, this is somewhat predictable. The end of last year, the last 4 games, I want to say they lost. All 4 of them ended up being losses. It was all by 1 possession. Like they played better as the year went on, and you're seeing it now. You're seeing a veteran group of players that have a lot of confidence, and certainly they've got a good scheme to go along with it. So it's a heck of a group that they've got there.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Good afternoon. Coming off a really good a really good win against Marshall, a good Marshall football team this past Saturday night. Fortunate to get a win. They're, a really good football team, well coached, and we came out on top. Very fortunate because, like I said, it's a tough team. Luckily, we had them here at home, and we played well for the most part. So right now, this is Victory Monday for us. Getting ready for another tough contest at Lafayette this weekend. I think a little bit more of a later start than I would have hoped for with a short week after that. But we're getting prepared to go down there and play well and hopefully stay in this conference race.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Luke Creasy. Luke.
Coach, you guys were able to, kind of take advantage of some spaces you found in the Marshall defense. Was that something you guys saw on film leading into the game, or is that something that in game you saw that you could take advantage of?
Well, preparation is certainly what we do during the course of the week, and you have to identify spots in defenses that you feel like you can attack and exploit. And we search for that during the week, and if it shows up during the game, which we thought it might, then we kind of stick with it and we attack it that way. But both ways is something we saw during the course of the week, and then something you have to go find during the course of the game as well. So it's just like everybody else. They're looking for the quote unquote honey hole or best formation to go out there and create mismatches, and that's what we do. We just try to find the best formation we can go and attack and run our offense.
We're over to Stan. Stan.
Morning, Shawn.
Good morning. Is it morning? It's 12:30, Stan. Did you just wake up?
I'm I'm an old guy. You got to give me a break.
You definitely are old.
Thanks for that. Hey, how have you seen the defense improve since game one?
What are you talking about? Did you see game one? I mean,
I did.
That was them coverage, blown assignments, running lanes. I was wondering if we were playing with 8 on defense that night. So we added the 3 others on the defense, and we became a little bit better. Now we've new concepts, new coaches. They're all well, I won't say new coaches, new coordinator working together. It just doesn't, it's not like the NFL. You don't get some practice games to go out there and work together, and you're practicing against your offense. So, that first contest, we had to sort some things out. Some people were talking when they shouldn't be talking, and some people needed to talk when they should have been talking. So now we're kind of figuring that out here 6 games into it.
Last week I think there were 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Is that kind of more what you would like to see from that unit?
Stan, I think we all would love 3 sacks and 10 tackles for loss each and every week. Yeah, I would love to see that. They just I think we're putting these guys in position to make plays, and they're doing it. They're delivering it, which that's a good scheme. But ultimately, your players got to go out there and make the plays, and they're the ones that are creating the sacks and the coverages and the tackles for loss. So, that's what I enjoy seeing. I love seeing. I always tell these guys that the team is made up of the players. They have to execute kind of the plan, but the ultimate goal is to get those guys playing in position to be highly successful, and that's what we've done defensively.
Thanks, sir.
We'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, 0-6 all time versus Louisiana, but 4 of the last 5 have been 1 possession games that have really come down to the wire. What is it going to take for you guys this week to kind of get over that proverbial hump and get that first win over the Raging Cajuns?
Yeah, 0-6, never defeated them. They're a good football program. I mean, you have to be on point. We have played them pretty close, but hell, nobody pats you on the back for playing them close. They're explosive offensively. They keep things in front of them defensively. They're well coached special teams wise. For us to get a victory, we have to go and we have to be who we are. We can't go into the game thinking, we've never beaten these guys and make them to be something that they're not. We've got to play Georgia State football. We've got to continuously do what we do offensively, putting ourselves in good position. And those 3 sacks and 10 tackles for loss need to be showing up this Saturday night for us to have a chance to beat them. It's going to be a tough contest. Anytime you travel down there, it's always tough. And that's because they got they're good players, they're good coaches, such great respect for their football program. I know when I came in the league, that was probably the first team that I watched because they were kind of the top of the charts. They were the standard, and I wanted to learn from the standard, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to beat them.
Go over to Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach. When it comes to total rushing yardage this year, Marcus Carroll's still in the top 10 in terms of total rushing yardage. And I believe 5 of the top 10 running backs in terms of rushing yardage right now in the FBS are G5 guys. As a former O-line coach, what do you think that says about the way that, the running game is coached in the G5 compared to the rest of the levels of football?
Well, I really don't know how it's coached on the rest of the levels. I know I have a lot of respect for the offensive line and offensive line coaches in our league. We have really good running backs in this league. From top to bottom, you cannot rest on any of these guys. And I love it because it means they're well coached, because anytime you got a great running game, those 5 offensive linemen, along with those tight ends, just the whole running formula, it gets me excited. It's kind of I always say it's the team within the team. And typically when that team, those 5 offensive linemen, those tight ends are kind of gelling, that means you got good football programs. That means you got unselfish programs. And we have a great league and great stable running backs here. And like I said, I got a lot of respect for the O-line coaches in this group.
And one more for you, Coach. Your passing game obviously doing a lot of great things right now as well. Considering you guys lost a significant talent in the offseason with Jamari Thrash, who's now at Louisville, what does it mean to kind of see, the rest of your guys in your team have as good a year as they're having right now?
I don't worry about losing a guy. That's why we go out and recruit. That's why we have recruiting budgets. That's why we evaluate talent. If you're able to sustain a loss like we did, that means you got a good stable guys that are back there, and we've got a great receiver room. We really do. I mean, they're talented guys. They're unselfish guys, and we've got other guys behind them. I mean, we really do. We've got a really good coach in Quinshad Davis. But to see those guys flourish, you're concerned when you lose a talent like that, but I don't make a big deal about it. I just say, hey, next guy is going to step up and take over that role. It always happens. It doesn't matter if he's a senior leaving. You better have recruited well up under him. And we have done that thus far in the receiver room.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
You guys have a wonderful afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
Well, it's good to get back into game week preparation. I thought our bye week was productive. It was a work week. Came probably at the right time in terms of our injuries and getting back our players. But as we know, another great challenge this week, playing really one of the premier programs, one of the premier teams in the Sun Belt Conference. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. Complete football team, have a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence, rightfully so. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us, have a tremendous amount of respect for their program and what they've been able to accomplish over a very long period of time now. So again, it starts with preparation today.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Luke Matheson. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, obviously you mentioned having the week off and getting some guys back. First off, what did you guys really focus on this past week coming off that loss off of Troy? And who are some of those guys you're expecting to get back this week?
Well, first of all, we changed our entire offensive and defensive schemes. We're now running the triple option, and we've gone to some mint front, some different things that way, and then completely changed our special teams as well to give Coastal something different to prepare for. There's so many things to accomplish in a bye week. There's recruiting, which is a big part of it, being able to get on the road, but also be able to continue the evaluation process in terms of that. Like I mentioned, get our health back, but also every rep we take is critical. We only have 11 seniors in our football program, and 72% of the players that have played are in their first or second year in our program. So I think every rep is invaluable. So being able to play football, we played a lot of football. And so I think, you have to manage everything of trying to get your health, but also play football. So again, I thought it was very productive and we accomplished a lot of things.
We'll go to Chris Hutchinson. Chris?
Hey, Coach, I know Malik Straker was banged up. Health-wise, how is he looking, and just injury-wise? Who are, besides Straker, how else are folks coming along on the injury front ahead of this week?
Yeah, we anticipate everyone back for the game. Malik is one of those individuals who, is one of our leaders on our football team, one of our captains. So, again, the bye week came at the right time. He'll practice today. So, again, we fully anticipate having everyone back for the game.
We'll go to Sam. Sam?
Coach, Grayson McCall coming off of one of his best games of his career high in passing yards this past week. What do you guys need to do or try to do to slow him down a little bit this weekend?
Well, I don't know if you can really slow him down. He's been one of the faces of our conference. Obviously, he's been the face of the program at Coastal for a number of years. They always talk about the mark of a great quarterback is to lead your team from behind in a great road win. And, and just being able to go on the road and win. I know their team believes in him. He's a winner. He knows how to win. He has high confidence, has very good football players around him. You know, they have a veteran group in terms of skill guys. So there's a lot that goes into that. But again, I don't know if you can quite slow him down. I think you have to work to contain him. And I think, you know, in order to beat a team like Coastal, you can't beat yourself. So I think that's where it starts first and foremost, is you can't give up any cheap touchdowns. You can't give up any freebies. You have to make them earn everything that they get. I think they do so many different things from a schematical standpoint that challenge you as well. They challenge your eye discipline. They challenge your fundamentals. They do a great job of really creating space for you, making you tackle in space. Their receivers are as good as anyone in our conference. They can change the game. They can wreck the game in a hurry. And then defensively, a lot of guys that have played a lot of football, very stout, very physical. So again, this is a really good team. There's a reason why they've been an elite program in our league now for a number of years.
And then, Coach, you've got, you know, a young quarterback, but certainly a quarterback that's shown some flashes, able to get you guys over the finish line and a few wins this year. What were some things you guys wanted to work on with him during the bye week to get some additional reps and just get some more football under his belt?
Well, I think you just hit it right on the head. It's just additional repetitions. The more football that Jalen Rahne can play, the better. He's only had 3 career starts. So again, it gets back to that balancing act, which we spoke about during the bye week, is, you know, being able to get your health back and get some other things accomplished, but also this football team needs to play football with all the youth. So every repetition that Jalen gets is vital. We're a byproduct of our experiences. So we tried to simulate as many game-like conditions as possible throughout the course of the week of practice.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Had a great bye week, able to get on the road, get some recruiting done. Also able to get some guys healthy, but get some also valuable experience for some younger guys. So excited about getting back home in SP Ballard Stadium and playing a great opponent in App State.
Thank you. Well, I'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike?
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask specifically about Jason Henderson and just what he does for you guys. And obviously we see the numbers, but what are some of the other things he brings to your program?
You know, obviously he's a great player. I think one thing he brings is mentality. You know, I mean, he plays with great effort. And a lot of his tackles are made just because of second, third, and fourth effort. I think that's something that kind of seeps into the rest of the defense and the rest of the team. And you know, it can become kind of part of our identity.
I know he was a pretty successful wrestler, I believe, in high school. Does he still have some of that, I don't know, man-on-man kind of mentality to him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think just he's able to be in some weird body positions and still have power and things like that, which I think, you know, in wrestling is a huge part of it. And then also, I mean, when he gets his hands on you, you kind of go down. You know, so he's been able to really, I think his wrestling background is huge. I think wrestling is one of those sports that translates so well to football at a number of positions. And, you know, it's something that we continue to look at and see, you know, which guys are wrestling and, you know, which guys are being successful.
And I don't know if it would have been you, but I saw in one of his recruiting bios that Penn State had at least been in contact with him. Did you know him at all when you were there, or was he a kid that you got familiar with at ODU?
No, it was me contacting him. That was my area. So I had Northeast Pennsylvania at Penn State, and you know, he's from up in that Scranton area. So yeah, I'd been kind of recruiting him since he was a sophomore in high school, and so he was the first guy that we offered when I got here.
Very cool. And then this is a little off the beaten path. I apologize, but the NFLPA has been concerned about playing and working on artificial turf. Obviously, in this conference, I think all the schools are artificial turf. Most of the schools practice primarily on turf. The schools have very new turf surfaces. Do you have any concerns or thoughts about that?
I played in the late 90s and early 2000s, where the turf we played on was significantly different than what they play on now. I mean, no, I do not have any concerns on it. I think that I think that those things get overblown. I would love to see the data on that. A lot of these injury things, I'd love to see the data on. I'd love to see the data on the kickoffs. Like, I don't understand that. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't understand the kickoff rules. Why can we fair catch it? But then you look at a lot of the injuries were soft tissue injuries, which the fair catch does nothing to do anything with that. Most of the injuries on that thing were not to the returner, which the only person protected on that is the returner. So like, I think that we make a lot of decisions in football without ever accurately looking at the data and things like that. I think that, you know, I mean, I remember it came up because everyone wanted to talk about Aaron Rodgers, you know, tearing his Achilles. Well, I mean, the man who just sat down right there, he tore his Achilles too. And it wasn't because he was on turf, it was because he was old. And I think that would probably, you know, Aaron, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks and one of the unbelievable athletes of all time, he's gotten a little older. I mean, we get hurt when we get a little bit older. That's part of the thing that happens. So I think that, yeah, so I would like to see the data on a lot of those things.
I think you and I are the generation where the AstroTurf was concrete that they spray painted green and called it turf.
I mean, I played at Franklin Field when the lines of Franklin Field were 1.5 inches above the turf because they would literally repaint it with actual paint all the time. And so if you didn't pay attention when you were taking a drop, you might trip over the thing. So I mean, like these fields now are significantly, in my opinion, they seem to be significantly safer than they used to be. Much like all football safer than it used to be. You know what I mean? Besides the fact that the guys are bigger, faster, stronger, everything else about it is safer.
Good stuff. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll go over to Sam. Sam.
Coach, coming off the bye week, looking ahead to App State, a program you guys haven't had success against in the past. What's one thing that you think is kind of a key to being able to slow them down and get a win this weekend?
Well, you got to be able to stop their running game. They've been able to throw the ball. They're top 4 in the league in both, you know, rushing and passing, but they're able to play action pass and give, you know, 7-man protections. They're able to boot and do those sort of things. So you got to be able to stop their outside zone. I think one of the great things about App State is they've been running a similar system on offense and defense for a long time and been very successful at it. And they keep getting coaches to come back, which kind of speaks to how great the place is and all those sort of things. So, yeah, I mean, we got to be able to, you know, stop their running game, and we got to be able to have a running game of our own. And that's going to be one of the keys.
And then Coach Clark talked a little bit about the explosive plays you guys have been able to put together in the running game this year. How key is that to you guys and your offensive performance going into the weekend?
Yeah, I think the key for us is being able to maintain that explosiveness both in the passing game and in the running game while getting more consistent and, you know, and more efficient. You know, we need to be more efficient overall and more consistent, I think, across the board. And for us, that's going to be the key.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. And I thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to start off. One, a lot of great athletes that historically have torn their Achilles. Dan Marino, myself, Kobe Bryant, and now Aaron Rodgers. So obviously it has a lot to do with athletic ability and prowess. So I do understand you know, some of you guys concerned, but some of you guys will never have to worry with that. It's an athletic ability injury. So just to let you guys know, we all met, we had a meeting, you know, when it all happened. So we're all on the same page, but obviously coming off a tough loss to a great Georgia State team. I would argue probably one of the most improved teams on our schedule. Really good game, missed opportunities on our part. They capitalized on some of them. Great opportunity for our guys to learn. And get ready for an unbelievable challenge this week. JMU, obviously, their record speaks for themselves. Their film speaks for themselves. In my opinion, they're out in front of this conference right now. You know, consistency-wise, execution-wise, they're doing a really good job. A lot of respect for Coach Cignetti and their players and their program. So it's going to be a challenge. Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Mike Barber. Mike.
Hey, Coach, and yeah, that athletic part makes a lot of sense. I'll just change the whole slant of the story now. But I wanted to ask you about JMU and Jordan McLeod, their quarterback, 10 touchdown passes in the last 3 games. What have you seen from his development as a thrower and their throw game in general?
You know, and not to take anything away from him, because I think he is a really great player. Their system just allows for any player in that position to execute. And don't get me wrong, you know, they couldn't just put a D lineman back there and do it. He's doing a really good job of letting the system create execution and opportunities for him. You know, I mean, he's not having to try and do too much, which is, you know, a sign of a really good system. They've got answers. They've got complementary plays that come off of some of the things they do. And they're very consistent. And I think that helps him, you know, execute more consistently, you know, week in and week out, because the O-line does a really good job. His receivers do a really good job. They run the ball well. You can tell that he's fully immersed in the system by, you know, the confidence that he has, the poise that he has. Obviously, he's got the ability to run. You know, he can create with his legs when things do break down. So it's going to be a challenge. A lot of respect for him.
You guys lead the conference in pass defense and pass defense efficiency. You're second in interceptions, second in sacks. We saw what you did to their quarterbacks a year ago. What has worked so well for you guys on that side of the ball, and how do you view that part of this matchup?
Well, because all the teams are running it on us because we can't stop the run right now. So there's probably only been 4 passes thrown, and we probably knocked 2 of them down. So that's a pretty good percentage. No, I think, again, collectively, defensively, we've done some really good things. We've got a lot of new players playing in some places. The back end is one of the areas where we do have a lot of consistency. You know, as far as guys that have been here a while, been in the system, have played at a high level. So you're starting to see a little bit of that. You know, in the core right now, we're rotating a lot of new guys. Some of the guys have played at other places, but not necessarily played a ton. And I think, again, the consistency and the experience in the back end has allowed us to have some success. And I think we're going to have to continue to build on that. Obviously, you know, we have some really good individual players, but collectively our back end does a really good job of communicating, challenging routes. We're able to play multiple guys back there, so it keeps us a little bit fresh and balanced. So that's helped. The counterpart to that, I think JMU does a really good job of running and throwing and forcing you to kind of play both. You know, they're balanced. And that's the challenging part. You know, if you're playing a team that throws it, you know, 90% of the time, you can kind of prepare and put some things in place. But a team like JMU, they do a really good job of balance, and they take advantage of what you give them.
And since Coach Rahne dragged you into it, do you have any concerns about practicing on turf, or what are your thoughts on that topic?
I don't have concerns about playing or practicing on turf. I do have concerns about, you know, how some of our time and allowing our players to recharge, you know, that's a concern of mine. I know it's something that's intentionally done, but I do think that is probably as important of playing on grass or turf. You know, when we're going to turn around and play, you know, a game in less than 7 days with probably less than, I don't know, we normally get, you know, 80 some odd hours of sleep, where we're going to be less than that. And I think that is a concern, not only from a health standpoint, you know, but from a mental health standpoint, you know. And I think, again, when you're looking at these things, and I understand, I'm not, you know, making an excuse or indictment on anybody, but I do, when you look at those things, is if you're playing that many games, are you able to recharge? Are you able to eat? Are you able to hydrate? Are you able to do those things? And I think some of the injuries come from that. You know, you practice, you play, get on a plane, you practice, you play. I think the NFL probably has a little bit safer model, because, again, those are professionals and they've got hydro tanks and sleep chambers and all that stuff for their guys. Well, we got old school ice tubs, man, the tin ones. So that's about all we get, you know. So I do think that's probably, you know, has a lot to do with it on the college level. And I'm not talking about the Sun Belt, I'm talking all of college athletics. You know, you talk about some of these programs or conferences that are going to be playing games across the country. You know, well, you're getting on a plane for 3 or 4 hours, and you know what I mean? So college kids don't take care of their bodies like pros. And you know, that to me is probably a little more concerning than whether you're on grass or turf. I think where we are now in science, most of these turf fields are probably very similar to grass as far as the scientific I know all the schools in our conference, do a decent job of, their field maintenance and those type of things. But I do think where we are from a scientific standpoint, the turfs are not like the old Astro concrete that, we used to have. I think they're now all very scientifically driven to prevent a lot of these injuries.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, we'll go over to Jackson. Jackson.
Hey, Coach. You've already spoken about, your guys' defense up against Jamie's offense. I was kind of interested in sort of the other side of that coin. What are your thoughts of the matchup between your team's offense up against Jamie's defense?
Well, I was going to ask the Sun Belt when they started letting NFL teams play in our conference after I looked at their film, because they are really, really good. Probably the best defense that we've seen, including NC State. They're good. And I mean, that's not a, pump them up, make them feel good. I mean, you look at the stats, you look at their consistency, you look at the players that they have on all three levels. You look at the scheme that they run, you look at how they attack offenses. It's going to be a challenge. They've got a really good D line. I think, number 99 is probably one of the better players in this conference. A lot of respect for him. Their linebackers their edge rushers are good. And then their DBs are able to capitalize on a lot of opportunities because their front seven is so good. So they're really good. I mean, I thought when we played NC State, I thought they were the Pittsburgh Steelers, where these guys are probably just 49ers. So maybe, we can try out for the AFC South division after this slate of these two games. But no, a lot of respect for them. I think their D coordinator does a really good job too. They're very consistent. They're not trying to be defensive scheme of the week. They run their system. They adjust it out fluently. They get lined up. They play their techniques. Their eyes are in the right places. Everything you look at when you look at a well-coached, fundamentally disciplined football team. And I think they're doing a really good job of it.
All right. Thank you.
Got time for one more from Luke. Luke, go ahead.
Okay, Coach. Curt Cignetti called this one a trap game earlier on this call. Does that mean anything to you? Do you put any stock into that?
I wouldn't say a trap game if he looked at our injury report. But we're at that point in the season where everybody's kind of, not playing at 100%. We've got to do our job this week to get our guys, as healthy as possible to play on Thursday night. Again, I think, he knows where his team is as far as, the mentality and what they need to be focusing on. If I were him, I would probably not practice today. They'd probably be okay. Take his guys to the movies and, let them watch Barbie or, one of these other new movies that are out, and get them ice cream after practice. No, I mean, I think, again, you got to look at it from his perspective. They're making a run, and you got to keep your guys focused. I don't know, what trap game means. We try to stay focused on, the process and, preparing for every game like it's, the only game on the schedule, which I'm assuming he's doing. But you are dealing with 16 to 17-year-old minds, and human nature tells you, hey, this team won or lost last week, this team did that, or whatever it may be. And that's what we deal with as coaches. I think a lot of times the media thinks that these guys are robots, and they're not, and they read what you guys write, and they read, the rankings, and they read the projections, and they look at the money lines and all this stuff, and it affects them. As coaches, we try everything we can to keep our guys focused on the main thing, which is going out and executing really well and really consistently in practice and carrying it over to the game. But the reality of it is they're human, and there's a human element that you have to kind of prepare for.
Is there an update on Eli Neal, who left the game Saturday?
We got back at 4 a.m. and I haven't had a chance to get with training and all of those things today. So I don't know. We gave the kids off yesterday and let the coaches kind of get some, advanced scouting. So we're still, today would be like yesterday if this were a regular week for us, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.